grid-based design, a design method that allows you to design consistent pages by positioning them and sizing elements on those pages according to a certain grid. This has been best practice within web application design for years now. Not only does it help with adding consistency to your web application, it also helps a great deal with simplifying responsive design within applications. NoCode-X supports grid-based design out of the box, and it lets you leverage this design method to create great layouts that look awesome on each screen. Let me show you how to use this within NoCode-X. So first of all, I will have to create a new page. So let's go ahead and do that. I will call my page my grid-based page. There it is. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to define a certain grid. Every page within NoCode-X has a grid that is predefined for you. All you need to do is toggle the visibility of this grid. So I can do that by heading over to grid properties and toggle this by clicking the toggle grid button right here. So my grid appears. And now I can customize my grid according to my needs. So if I want to change the amount of columns, I can do so. I can also change the gap between each column, and I can even change the color which is used to visualize the columns within the editor. And next to columns, I can also choose to add some rows to my grid. So for example, I can add 12 rows to this grid, and I can also add the size of the gap between each row. And of course, I can change the color that is used to visualize those rows in the editor. So now that I have my grid that I want to design against, I can start adding elements to my page. So let's add a button element to this page. And all I have to do right now to position it according to the grid, I have to click it, I have to open up the style tab, and I have to change the X and the Y unit to grid. So now I can start positioning it to the grid in the way that I want. So for example, if I want this button to start from the second column, where we start counting from the left, I can add the value 2 in the X property. If, for example, I want my button to start from the third row, where we start counting from the top, I can add the value 3 in the Y property. And NoCode-X really gives a lot of flexibility when it comes to positioning elements. I can, for example, choose to position this element to start from the second column, but where we start counting from the right. All I have to do is hit this button right here that allows me to align my element starting from the right. And of course, this works with grid. This also works with pixels. This works with percentages and so on. Of course, this also applies to aligning to rows as well. And then I can choose these buttons right here to align to the bottom or align to the top. Now, for sizing my elements, I can, of course, use the grid unit within the properties: width, height, minimum height, maximum width, and maximum height, which really allows me to size my element nicely according to my grid. So for example, when I have my button, I can have my button spanned over, for example, 4 columns and 2 rows. And the beauty of this is that I can adjust these values for each screen type that I wish to do. So this really helps in creating responsive pages. Now it does not end here, because within NoCode-X, we have these really handy container elements. They allow you to add elements within those elements and position those inner elements according to the container. So each container within NoCode-X has its own grid that can be used to position the inner elements within it. So if I were, for example, to add a top container element, I can configure the grid of this element. And I can again I can again add elements to this container element. So let's add a button element right here. And then I can again start positioning those elements according to this grid. Now this really makes it easy for me to start designing very, very consistent pages. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to learn more about NoCode-X, please keep watching these videos, follow us on LinkedIn, and by all means try NoCode-X. It's completely free. So I'll see you guys in other videos.